Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I love you guys so much. I have a beautiful word for you guys because I realize there's a lot of shit talking. I realize people will sit down and talk about your struggles. People will sit down and talk about your trials and your tribulations. People will literally sit down and talk about and gather in groups, on phone calls, on WhatsApp messages and DMs. Talk about the shit you've been through, the mud that they drag you through. And like I said, most of the time, the shit that you've been through, it was the people that caused you to go through that shit. However, these people will sit down and talk about, like I said, your struggles. But one thing that they will always fail to forget to talk about is how you overcame those struggles. Yes, they're going to sit down and talk about every fucking thing you do. But they're not going to sit down and talk about, well, she's strong because most people will not make it out on the other side. Well, she's an overcomer. He or she overcame that. He and she is a boss. Well, he and she was down in the dirt and down out bad last season. But this season, they're winning and they're shining and they're glowing. You get me right? That struggle only taught them how to be, courageous and, show them how strong they really are. You see those struggles? And this is what the enemy failed to realize. The enemy failed to realize that those struggles, and the enemy really think they're smart, but the enemy is not smart because they would always say this, and this is my philosophy. Whatever the devil meant for bad, whatever the enemy meant for bad, God will always turn it around for good in your favor. However, the enemy is stupid because the enemy do not know that God will use their attacks to strengthen you, to build you up. Yes, sometimes God will allow these attacks because we need it sometimes. We need those attacks to be, to be shaken up and to wake us up out of slumber. But the enemy really think that they're winning. No. You need a Judas. You see how I said that? You need a Judas. Yes. You need that Judas to help you get to that next level. You see, because before God next level you, He's going to have to test you. And guess what? He used that Judas to test you. Macabre. These people will literally sit down and talk about the shit you've been through. And talk about you clockwork. But they will never sit down and talk about how much of an overcomer you are. How much of a person that you just show love and positivity. You spread light. They will never sit down and talk about, well, when I see her, the only thing that I see is strength. You signify strength. They will never sit down and talk about that. Because it's like, well, I did these people, so I did this, I did her, or I did him bad. How did she manage to overcome that? You wanna know why? It's God. It's God. And when will the enemy learn that they are not God? When you motherfuckers will learn that y'all not fucking God. So every time the kings and the queens, every time my kings and queens bounce back, y'all need to know that there's a higher power behind that person. I actually help them to bounce back. So whatever y'all fucking do, it will not work. It won't work. You folks need to fucking learn. So you just don't fuck with anybody in the streets. The guts. And I would always say this most of the time, and I always say this. Most of the time, the shit that we go through in this world, and I don't want to say everyone, but if this message is targeted for people that actually get it, that can resonate with it, most of the shit that we go through is not our fault. It's the people that is around us that cause us to go through that shit. You know, because people think that we are perfect. People think that because we're chosen, we don't make mistakes and nothing like that. But they want to cause chaos and havoc in our life without really knowing who the fuck is behind us. A higher power. That's why we would always be vindicated. We would always bounce back. That's why we will always overcome the devil's attack, the enemy's attack. We will always overcome. We are overcomers. We are overcomers. I want you guys and want you kings and queens in the comment type. We are overcomers. We are fucking overcomers. You see what the enemy think that, what the enemy had planned? Because I always say this. Tell God the enemy, if you want to make God laugh, if you want to make God laugh, tell God the enemy's plans. Because the enemy's plans versus God's plans. Come on now. If you really want to make God laugh, tell God about the enemy's plans. Because whatever the enemy think he had planned, it wouldn't work. And then when the enemy see us flourishing, because I really want to know who does really, the average person will not be able to survive and bounce back from the type of attacks the enemy placed upon us. The devil. You feel me, right? You guys are overcomers. My kings and my queens. When I see y'all just signifies strength. Y'all can't be beat. Y'all can't be fucking stopped. I want y'all to know that y'all can't be stopped. My kings and my queens that watches me and listen to me, y'all can't be stopped. Y'all are unfuckwittable. Y'all need to know that. Y'all bounce back game on 1,000. That is what's got the enemy shook. That is what has shook the enemy. You know? And I would always say this. Whatever the enemy, the devil, those plots and those plans, don't let it touch your spirit. Yes, the weapons will form, but they won't prosper. The weapons will form, but they're not going to prosper. And with me saying don't let the enemy attacks touch your spirit, don't let it get next to you. Don't let it turn you dark. Don't let what the enemy did to you cause you to become a dark person or cause you to become just like the enemy and start to hurt other people. Because from the moment you start to do that low down fuck shit that the enemy does, then you lost your ranking. You lost the backing of Most High. Don't do what these people do. In this spectrum, I'm Michelle Obama it. When they go low, you go high. I said, when they go low, you fucking go high. And that's the tea with a cookie on the side. Bye.